Han got up from the ground, looking around at his surroundings. There was a slight dizziness as he stood up, bringing a hand to his head. Around him were his classmates, who were all laying on the ground, still unconscious. At least that's what he assumed. His creations were recovering shortly after he did, but they seemed affected to a greater degree. Seeing Celestra laying on the ground, he rushed over to where she was. The first thing he did was check her pulse, and feeling one, he was relieved. Placing a hand on her cheek, he used healing magic and soon saw her eyes begin to open up. Celestra started to say. Do not exert yourself. It seems that we were transported to some place. How are you feeling? Han gently asked her, helping her up. I am fine. You do not need to worry about me. Celestra saw the concern in his eyes. Master, you are fine. Brittany rushed to him and got down on one knee. We have failed you, Master. Her voice filled with shame on not performing her duties. We have failed you, Master. His other creations joined Brittany. Han looked at each of them and calmly said, We all share responsibility for what happened. I did not expect them to so quickly activate the very trap used on them to contain us. It seems like those demons are on the same level of power as the gods of this world, so it would be understandable that it was able to affect us. If not for that last-minute blast, we would have been able to withstand it. It was my carelessness. Master, all of them said, shocked at his words. It is our duty to protect you. Please, do not lower yourself, Onaclis cried out. Yes, Master, my sister speaks truly. It is us that deserves punishment, Eurasia spoke up. Han lifted up his hand to stop them from continuing. All that is important is that we are still alive. There is no longer a need for you to beat yourself up for what happened in the past. Let us first see where we are. Accessing the system, he found out their location. Forgotten Continent. Once before the time of the gods and demons, the ones before lived on the Forgotten Continent. Their numbers were few, so they longed for companionship. With their powers, they created Eltran and all the creatures on it. This required them to use a vast amount of their forces, but they were happy. Descending onto Eltran, they fell in love with their creations, and soon the gods and demons were born from the unions of the ones before and their creations. As time moved on, soon the ones before slowly had their abilities diminished. They vanished, and the Forgotten Continent soon became a myth. It appears that we are on one of the moons of Eltran, he murmured. These ones before seem to be powerful beings, Queen said after reading the system description sent by Han. So the gods and demons are the children of the ones before? Celestra was a little confused after hearing this information. It appears to be the case, Han remarked. Making babies, Brittany whispered, giggling to herself. Han felt a little chill going down his spine after hearing that. Everyone else seemed to lock onto what Brittany said, and they shared a similar look. A weakened voice called out to him. Relieved for the sudden distraction, Han looked back and saw that Ha-Yun had woken up. She looked to be in a sorry state, her eyes not in focus and rolling around as she tried to gain focus on her surroundings. He walked over to her and gently lifted up her head with one hand and placed his arm around her to support her back. How are you feeling? What happened? She stuttered, still looking disoriented. The demons used the mana crystal to pull us into the place they were trapped. It seems we were transported to another area, Maybe outside of the world, he commented. What do you mean outside of the world? Ha-Yun tried to look around at her surroundings. There were trees and other items that made it look as they were still on Eltran. Han simply pointed up and guided Ha-Yun's eyes. When she followed where Han was pointing, her eyes widened in alarm. What is that? She cried out. That would be Eltran. Wait, how are we going to get back? She realized after seeing the world she came from in front of her eyes. Han sighed, understanding how confusing all this could be. The effects of the travel were enough to make him feel a little dizzy, so he could only imagine what it was doing to her mind. Helping her up, Han held on to her to make sure that she didn't fall over. We will just need to find a way to return to our world, Han put it simply. Ha-Yun was only able to dumbly nod in agreement, though it was evident that she didn't feel that was possible. Looking at the students laying on the ground, she began to regain her mental faculties. What happened to everyone? Are they still okay? She tried to move towards them, but Han made sure to hold on to her tightly. If he weren't holding on to her, she would have fallen over. They are just unconscious. It seems as if that spell was potent, understandable considering who it was meant to capture. It is only reasonable to expect that humans and beast people would be affected by the transportation, he reassured her. As they were talking, many of the adventurers became conscious. They went through a similar situation as Ha-Yun, so Han carefully explained the information he presented to her. It wouldn't be wise on his part to give out more since he didn't enjoy the idea of them getting suspicious about who he was. Han wondered if this is how a game developer would feel like if he could go into a game and manipulate the code. Even if he could find out how the game ended, it wouldn't be enjoyable to peek ahead. Also, having the NPCs be aware that they are NPCs isn't the best idea.